Hello. Sorry, there's a bit of a delay, so I want to make sure that I'm starting. Okay. Hello, NaNoWriMo. My name is Mariah, and I'm the Young Writers Program Director, and I'm really excited to do a virtual write-in with you today. We don't always do them I don't know if we've ever done a virtual write-in in May, actually, so this might be the very first virtual write-in in May ever, so congratulations, you guys are here. I want to give you a little bit of information about what a virtual write-in is and what we're going to do today, and then let's just start writing because I love to get a lot of writing done in the morning. And for me, it's 10 o'clock where I am, which counts as morning, I guess. So I would love to get a lot of really fun writing in with you guys. Okay, I lost my notes. Oh my God, what if I forget who I am? I already said who I was. Check. NaNoWriMo, you guys probably know what that is. It's like a really exciting writing community with lots of different challenges. Our main event is in November, but we also do Camp NaNoWriMo in April and July. And this year, we're actually kind of participating in Short Story Month, which is right now in May. The Young Writers Program is just like NaNoWriMo, except it's for people 17 and under, and they write on the Young Writers Program website. They get youth-friendly forums. They get to set their own word count goal. And a lot of people are also participating in Short Story Month on the Young Writers Program site. So to do that on the YWP site, you set a personal challenge and you write, some people have the goal of writing a story a day, every single day in May. I'm just trying to write on a short story for an hour a day in May. And then on the NaNoWriMo site, you can set a goal tracker and use that to track like a goal in May, since we don't have an official challenge going on. Okay, here are my notes. Check. I talked about Short Story Month, talked about NaNoWriMo, talked about YWP. Okay. They're loading right now. We're going to do what a virtual write-in is. So a virtual write-in is we come together as a beautiful writing community. I'm going to supply some prompts, and then you can use them. You don't have to use them. And then for the next 45 minutes to an hour, we're going to alternate between writing a lot, furiously typing, either on those prompts or on another project that you're working on. And then we'll also take breaks to share. And if you have any questions or comments or want to tell me about things you're writing, you can plop it into the chat. Cool. Okay. I say that a lot. The more I've done live videos, the more I realize I say the word okay a lot, and I always say it like that. I don't know why. It's too bad. Oh my God, I almost just said it again. All right, so our first prompt, great. Here we go. Oh, I also just wanted to tell you that even if you're not doing Short Story Month, we're going to be trying to do some virtual write-ins in months we're not doing events. So like May, June, we're not technically doing camp or NaNoWriMo, but it's nice to think of it maybe as just like a chance to take a break from real life and just be creative for an hour. So if every day you do the same thing, you work, this is your chance to take permission to give yourself an hour to just dream and live in your head and make things up for a whole hour. Okay, so we're going to do a word sprint. And a sprint, if you don't know it, is when I give you a prompt. You can use it. You don't have to use it. We set a timer. This first sprint is going to be for 5 minutes. And then during those 5 minutes, we just write together. And then when the time is up, we can share some of the stuff we wrote. So I actually borrowed this prompt idea from a woman who did an interview that's on the YWP site. For Short Story Month, and her prompt that she suggested was to spend 5 minutes just asking the question, what if? So her examples here's some examples that I can think of right now. Like, what if my coffee turned me into something else? What if all the trees outside my window melted? What if the world flipped upside down? So just lots of what if questions. What if cats could see ghosts? That's one that I've actually been thinking / worried about for a very long time. I might write that one, actually. So what if, and just asking a million questions, what if, what if, what if, what if. You're not answering them, you're not writing stories about them, you're just trying to come up with as many as possible. And the way I'm going to add to it is either ask what if, or you can say, I wonder. Like, I wonder what the old man with the flowers was doing. I saw that guy as I was riding my bike. I saw an old man, very old man, in a beautiful suit with one rose in his hand. And as I was biking, I thought, I wonder what that guy's story is. So what if, or I wonder, and we're just going to make a list for 5 minutes. We're not writing a story. We're just asking ourselves questions or saying things that we wonder about. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat and I'll try to answer. I'll also add these prompts to the comments. So for 5 minutes, I'll set my timer now. Even if you're not doing short stories this month, even if you're not writing anything right now, this is your chance to be creative, and everybody can do this. So 5 minutes to ask a million what-if questions. What if cats could see ghosts? What if all my trees melted? What if my insides were replaced with robot parts? Or I wonder what that old man is doing. I wonder what that loud noise outside my house is. Just for 5 minutes. Ready? Set. 5 minutes. Go. All right, you have about 2 minutes left. Try to come up with as many what if or I wonder. I wonder if cats can see ghosts. That was 5 minutes. You can finish up any amazing or wild ideas that you just got. I'm going to write my last one. Okay. Okay. So what we like to do now, if you've never done a virtual write-in, or even if you need some reminders, is to drop some of our wild, amazing ideas into the chat so we can share some of the stuff that we wrote. And I can share maybe a couple of mine while you guys are doing that. So it doesn't have to be amazing, like just anything that made you laugh, anything that made you think, huh, you can definitely drop them into the chat. So do that, go ahead and do that now, because I'd love to read some of them out and share them with everybody. But before we do that, I wanted to mention we're doing Short Story Month over here at National Novel Writing Month, and we're doing it kind of in partnership with Story a Day in May, who's in the chat. If I can drop a link to her website in the comments afterwards, but she runs some short story challenges throughout the year with fun prompts and is helping us gather some short story resources for Short Story Month this month. And I want to give credit the author who helped me come up with that what if prompt. Her name is Abby R. Cooper, and you can read her interview on the YWP site. I can drop a link to that breaking news also. Okay, so here are a couple of my what ifs or I wonder, and if you haven't yet, go ahead and drop some of those into the chat so I can share somebody else's, not just mine. Ooh. I'll share a couple of mine. I said, I wonder what abandoned malls are like, because I drove past the mall in my town recently and there's nothing there. Like everything is closed. And I had this idea of like, I wonder what it's like to maybe live in there. I said, I wonder what it's like to be a truck driver, like a super poetic, creative one, but you're just in your truck driving around the country all day, like with all these other tough guys. I said, what if cats could see ghosts? Like I've said that before. What if I had a magic power, but I don't figure it out until I'm very old, like 90 years old? What if my lipstick let me speak other languages? And then I said, I wonder about the people stuck on top of Everest. It got kind of morbid. Okay, so those are some of the ones that I came up with. What about the ones that you guys came up with? Uneducated Bat says, what if Optimus Prime and Bumblebee came to help Harry and Dudley? What if Mrs. Weasley was evil? Oh my God. That's like, you should probably write that fanfic. People will get super upset. It'll be controversial. What if Harry Potter wasn't Harry Potter? What if Harry Potter wasn't an only child? Oh my God, you are digging deep into Harry Potter right now, Uneducated Bat. I would read any of these stories. Like, what if Harry Potter had like a sister? It's kind of like in Star Wars when you think Luke is an only child and then they go, he's our only hope. And then Yoda goes, no, there's another. I love that part. It's still really exciting for me. Wired to be retired says, I chose I wonder because I heard a sound when I went into the library, but I did not investigate it due to time. So you say you wonder what that sound was? I mean, you could make up a story about that. It's probably a ghost. What if we were all, this is from Vienna Ramirez, what if we were all colorblind? That's super cool. I always love to think like, what if the colors I'm seeing are different than the colors you're seeing? Like, what if my blue is not your blue? But there's no way we can prove it. Sarfax321 says, what if an alien civilization accidentally picked up a radio wave from Earth, which is actually just Tutti Frutti by Little Richie? That's wild. What is this alien weapon? They are manipulating our youth. Or Zarfax321 says, what if a jewelry store owner fell in love with a cop who keeps showing up to investigate why the alarm keeps tripping? I like that idea too. Is there a thief involved? I don't know why I like stories about thieves. I just do. Okay. Does anybody else want to drop in any ideas? I wonder what if, or if you didn't write that prompt, you could just drop in a sentence that you wrote from your story. I'm working on a short story right now that I might use some of the prompts that I have prepared, or I might just use the time to like really focus and write that part of my story. Tamo Gaming says, what if Susan from Narnia inherited the rings after the last battle? Whoa. So like the last battle, the book, The Last Battle? I feel like I don't want to do any spoilers, so I'm not going to talk any more about that, but that'd be very interesting. Emma says, I wonder what it would be like if dogs could talk. I wonder what it would be like if everything was just an illusion. What if when you hop the fence, you enter another dimension? Here's one of, I've never shared this, but sometimes I've thought, what if when I walk between two things, I go into a different dimension? So like if me and my friend are walking in the woods and they go one way and I go between two different trees, and then we come out and it looks like we're still together, but really I've entered into a different time stream or a different dimension. And now like I'm in a totally new place. You think that's real? I don't think that's real, but it'd be crazy if that did happen. So usually what I do is if I care about them, I make sure not to split any path with them. I wonder what happened to the Chronicle of Narnia's movie. There were 3 and no more. Yeah, that might not be the most interesting story to write about, but it's a good question to Google. Okay. Sorry, facts. I'm sharing a lot, but thank you so much for dropping into the chat. You're being very bold. What if someone invented a time machine to go back to the Big Bang and found out it wasn't actually a Big Bang, but something more crazy? I love that idea. I love the idea of going back to the Big Bang to like see what it really is. I wonder what birds are saying to each other. Oh my gosh, you have some great I wonder questions. I love that. I wonder what birds are saying to each other. They're probably not, I mean, probably some birds are more interesting than others. Like I feel like house sparrows are just yelling at each other all the time. Like they like travel in family groups and they're mean to every other bird and they just maybe yell at each other. But maybe like bluebirds have a more interesting thing to say, or eagles or owls. I heard a spotted owl yesterday on a walk. It's a true story. Okay. So that was 5 minutes. We did some I wonder, some what if. You might have a long list of ideas right now. You might have a short list. You might have written something totally different. Whatever you did, that's fine. But what we are going to do now is prompt number 2, and I'll drop it into the chat. Let me find my prompt. Okay, so pick one of those ideas, one of those what if, or one of those I wonder, or pick a totally new idea that you've had kicking around in your head, or maybe a story that you've already been working on. And what we're going to do right now is try to put a character into that story and have them explore the physical space. That sounds really weird, but what I mean is, so if I'm writing my story, I wonder what that man is, what the very old man in the suit was, the one Rose was doing, waiting to cross the street. He's my character, and I'm going to start it off and I'm going to write for 10 minutes about what he sees and smells and hears and touches. Taste. Maybe isn't tasting anything, but really focus on these physical things. So maybe he hasn't worn his shoes in 20 years and they're rubbing at his heels and he can feel that. Or maybe he just got a haircut to look nice for whoever he's going to see and he feels the wind like on the back of his neck for the first time, or those little, when you get a haircut and there's like little hairs on you. Or maybe he smells the rose, or he touches a thorn and he like feels that in his hand. So just really exploring like the physical world. I'm trying to pop in all those details. And bonus points, at one point, you have one of these physical details inspire a memory. So maybe he smells the exhaust from a bus and all of a sudden he's remembering himself as a kid racing for the bus. Or maybe he sees that red color of a rose and it all of a sudden reminds him of like a book in his mother's library. So we're exploring the physical space. Actually, let me start over. Take one of those ideas that you just came up with, or a totally new idea or something you're already writing. 2, explore the physical world, smells, sounds, tastes. And then 3, at one point, see if you can make one of those physical details inspire a memory for the character. And if that's not inspiring to you, don't write about it. Just write for 10 minutes, whatever you feel like. This is a chance to be creative. Even if you spend those 10 minutes just kind of like quietly dreaming up things in your head, that counts. So that was, I already repeated it. I'll type it into the chat. I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes. Timer, be 10 minutes, thank you. And we are going to write together and be creative together. Give yourself permission to just dream and go. Ready, set, go. That's 5 minutes. Exactly, actually. That's good luck, I think. that's the timer. I need to write for 30 more seconds. It's very important. So you could drop a sentence that you wrote or something you'd like to share into the chat. I'm going to finish this very quick. You can finish also if you're having like a burst of inspiration. 30 more seconds. Thanks. Mine might be really bad. Well, I do not know where this is going, but oh well. Okay. Let me pop back to that chat. Cool. Woo! Oh, and I see people are dropping in their word count as well. I didn't count my word count, but you can also drop in anything you wrote. If you did a list, I thought about that. If you were just listing physical details, you could just drop in a couple of those as well. Just something that you feel like sharing. Let me see. I was writing about that abandoned mall, and I said, let me see if I can pick a piece to share. Oh, the fountain had crusted over red rests in the dull glint of nickels and dimes. Her footsteps echoed in the empty halls. No more preteen girls or elbow-pumping mall walkers. She stepped into a darkened storefront. The sign had long fallen off, but she knew the place. A flash of color caught her attention. She crouched, wiped dust and powdery drywall chips off the floor. And I'll stop there. But I kind of liked, because I was focusing on these physical details, I made some extra attention to think about like that drywall and the nickels and dimes. And I'm not sure I would have added those things if I hadn't really been focused on that. Okay, let's read some of yours. Uneducated Bat wrote 184 words. Emma wrote 223 words. Penumbra wrote 187 words. And they said, the smell of grass, cedar, and cattle mixed with saddle leather and horse. It was the scent of history and home. Oh my God, I'm going to cry. I would love to read the rest of that. Zarfax wrote, at the beginning of time, there was nothing. But before the beginning of time, at the end of the circle, there was everything. You guys are blowing my mind. I'm always so impressed with what people manage to come up with. Like, I would definitely read that too. Gilmore Girl wrote 150 words. Simone wrote 200. Zarfax said, in other words, he would see, hear, and smell not only everything he would have experienced in his life, but every possible smell he would have experienced in every possible timeline. That's a lot of smells. Let me find another one. Emma didn't really follow the prompts. Emma, you rebel. She just wrote about what she saw. Squirrels racing each other on the fence. It turned into basically a Peter Rabbit fanfic. You know what, though? That's actually a trick that I use. Like, when I sit down to write, I don't know if I've told you guys this already, but I'll sit down to write in the mornings, and sometimes if I feel really dull, like I cannot get started, I'll just do this exercise, but with the things that I see around me. So I'll be like, the cat snored softly on the pillow, or like even on the gray pillow, like outside, little green tufts of leaves started to sprout from these gray trees. So I'll just focus on these physical details around me and do that for maybe 5 minutes. And then I get into this rhythm, and then I'll kind of switch to what I was writing. Or you could just keep writing that Peter Rabbit fanfic. Okay. Uneducated Bat said, he came thundering through the front door like a rampaging rhinoceros on steroids. His fat face was a nasty shade of vermilion. He was breathing hard, almost wheezing with the effort. Okay, I don't know what you're writing about, but are you writing about, oh my gosh, what is Harry Potter's uncle's name? Uncle Vern? Uncle Vernon? That's what you sound, that's what it reminds me of. Maybe it was the word vermilion that made me think that. Thanks for sharing, you guys. If you want to drop any other sentences or word counts into the chat, feel free to do that. Vernon. Yeah, Uncle Vernon. Oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Oh, I wanted to say this. So we often do VDA virtual write-ins during NaNoWriMo or during Camp NaNoWriMo, but we're going to try to start doing them kind of more throughout the year because we want to give you guys a creative space and a creative community all year round. And so I think, I'm not sure if we'll do them every single week, but we might. So keep checking that events calendar and we'll try to start promoting them a little bit more because I know this is something a little new. But I think that I'm having a lot of fun right now and it's fun to kind of keep that creative community going all year. So tell your friends. Tell your friends, tell your frenemies, tell everyone. Okay, me too, I love write-ins. I love write-ins because like for a couple months, I paid a lot for a writing group and it was essentially this, like the teacher, she had prompts, we sat together, we wrote together and we shared a little bit of what we wrote and then we went home. And it was basically exactly this, but I paid like a lot of money for it. So I really enjoy having community to write with for free that's really funny and funky and strange and interesting and writing so many different things. I appreciate you. Okay, so we're going to do one more prompt, I think. What was it? Oh, here's my prompt idea. So you can keep writing that same story you were writing. You can work on a different story. You can write about the squirrels outside your window. But the prompt that I'm giving you is this. Start a sentence with "at first" and see where it goes. Eventually, you're probably going to plop in a sentence that sounds something like but then. So like, at first, my arm felt fine, right? Oh, I love the "at first" prompt because no matter what you say after "at first," it builds up this tension. So like, if I'm talking about my mall story, you could say, at first, she thought she was alone, right? And you can already tell that it's definitely going somewhere. It's something surprising is going to happen or there's going to be a twist. I used this in a story once where I said it was about a couple honeymooning in Japan. And I wrote, at first, everything was perfect. And I didn't know where it was going. And eventually it turned into this kind of ghost story. And I don't think I would have gotten there if I hadn't tried this at first prompt. At first, she thought she was alone in the mall. Ooh, I like it. Or if that doesn't speak to you, you don't need to use it. Just write whatever you feel like. Okay. I'm going to set my timer. I think we could probably do 10 minutes. Yeah, 10 minutes is a good time. So I'll drop that. My cat's yelling at me. One time I was doing a virtual write-in, and in the middle of it, my cat threw up on the bed, but I couldn't stop her because I couldn't leave. It was really gross. Okay, 10 minutes. At some point in your story, start a sentence with the word "at first" and see where it goes. Add some surprise and tension. Ready, set, write. Oops, there are 4 minutes left. That was 10 minutes. I like that timer noise. So go ahead and you can finish up the sentence that you were writing, or finish up your inspiration, whatever it was, and then go ahead and drop either a word count or a sentence that you really love or an idea you had into the chat. We can share a couple of them. And while you guys are doing that, I can maybe share one of mine. What did I write? I went with the girl in the abandoned mall because that's what I had started earlier. And I said, at first, Kiana thought she was alone in the vast space, except for the mannequins, of course, but they didn't count because they had no eyes, no feet. Some had no arms either, or their heads had been ripped off. Not ripped, she reminded herself, probably just built that way. And they didn't talk. So she talked to herself, listed stores to her left, wondered if any of the soft pretzels were still edible. And I'm still writing it, but there's going to be someone there, obviously, because when you start a sentence with kind of, at first she thought this, there's probably going to be a twist in it. So she's definitely not alone. I'm not quite sure who's there, though. Okay. Ooh, Zarvax got 452 words. That is more than me. Andre Felipe Vargas Marino says, at first, Kenny saw his hands. They were as gray as ash. They were as empty as his body. He was void of meaning, just as everything else. Kenny realized the universe was meaningless. Oh no. Where is Kenny? I want to know more about him. I feel sad for him. Uneducated Bat says, I looked up at the handsome figure before me. He had shoulder-length jet-black hair, dark brown eyes that were so dark they were nearly black, a hooked nose, and a perfect smile. Is that Snape? Are you writing Harry Potter? Are you writing those? You had some great questions about Harry Potter. Emma says, at first, the other competitors didn't notice the young birds soaring above the squirrels, but then they did. Oh my God, that sounds like it's going to be scary for the birds. Megan wrote 257 words and says, he felt a shifting of paws, strangely similar to his cat curling up on his chest, and that golden eye never left his. Love that. Penumbra wrote 205 and said, at first, he had ignored the pain in his chest or shoulder as indigestion or old age. Now, with the prospect of another heart attack at any time, he was not willing to give up weeks of his life. That one sounds sad. I also read, or you saw the barn swallows that come to your call. I think that's really cool. Let me find another one. Megan says, Snape, Severus Snape. Bam, I knew that. You're good at describing Snape. Wired to be retired wrote 445 words. You guys are writing so many words. Sarfax says, I'm sorry, I just lost it. Where is it? Oh, Gilmore Girl wrote 291 words. Sorry, I lost my thing in the chat. Sarfax says, the only sound in this vast emptiness was Ted's breathing. Was it even air, or was it something else? It felt fresh, like the air you breathe in at the ocean, but still not quite. There was more. I wonder where that is going. Gilmore Girl says, but then she started to feel a presence, nothing tangible. She just sensed something hovering around her, like a large insect she couldn't quite see or reach. Whoa. I love that prompt at first, but then, because it just makes it so mysterious. Like, I really want to read that. That's actually one thing that kind of bugs me about virtual write-ins, because I hear little snippets of everyone's stories and I get super into them, and then I don't get to read them. But I would read any of these, actually. Okay, so our hour is almost up. Thank you for coming to our very first May virtual write-in in honor of Short Story Month. I'm going to add the prompts into the comments, and also I'll add some links to where you can participate in Short Story Month on the NaNoWriMo site or the YWP site, and also maybe a link to Story a Day site if you're interested in writing short stories more. Anything else? Oh, you can look for more virtual write-ins. We're going to start doing them, try to do them maybe weekly throughout the year, and hopefully once we get the word out, we'll get a lot more people coming, and we can just keep building up this really fun writing community. I want to say thank you so much for coming. I know it's early for some people, but also I saw that we had people writing from all over the world. Someone was writing in Swedish. We had people in England, someone in Colombia. So whatever time it is there, thank you for taking an hour of your day to be creative and share that creativity with all of us. If you have any questions, you can drop them into the comments and we can try to answer them. And I hopefully will see you guys again next week. I know there's one scheduled for the 22nd, I think. So you can look for these events on the NaNoWriMo event calendar, so you can always see when they're coming up. Or we'll try to promote them on Twitter and Instagram and make sure that you guys get the heads up. Okay. Thank you so much. I don't want to go either. Bye.